We did all meet in York.
Yeah, on the street.
On the streets.
Yeah.
We met
when
we were at university.
School?
Well, we met at school.
We actually were at school together.
Yeah.
And therefore we recognised each other in the
Yeah.
music department at the university.
Yep. And then we were actually the first buskers in York.
We were.
And then we met, but we met in the street, didn't we? You and me?
No, we met to rehearsal for anti-nuclear
play. Street play.
We heard about Anth somehow.
Yes.
Was that through the community bookshop?
Well, it was in the community bookshop that you were in the community bookshop when we pounced on you. We were told she's downstairs at the moment. Yes.
And then we all got together.
Then we all got together.
Yeah.
The idea was that this would just make busking so much more exciting and so much more interesting, and suddenly all horizons opened up.
Yeah. So we rehearsed the setup, and you got some numbers, and we got some of those medieval numbers.
Yes.
We rehearsed it all and hit the streets of York.
That's right.
And of course in the 70s there were happenings, weren't there? You know, in the earlier 70s, and the whole thing about happenings. And I think there's some element of that. You know, we'd just land somewhere and play, and then people would sort of just be interested, and then something would happen. And
I don't think you'd say that York was full of happenings. I mean, York was a very, very conventional city in terms. I mean, there were these pockets, weren't there? But I mean, effectively, it was a very straight city.
It was, but it had that radical university to which we all went.
Yes.
And I think the university was the students were often, doing something in the town. Yeah. Whatever it was, whatever cause it would be for. I think there was a bit of a shake-up going on in a way in the streets.
I played flute and pranced about and did percussion, played quite a lot of tambourine.
I played the tenor saxophone and had knee cymbals and the tambourine on my foot. Anything else? I had those
jumping around
bean pods.
Oh yeah.
And pranced about. Prancing about became quite a thing.
Yes.
Yes.
It was a very important part.
Yeah.
So I played the accordion and knee cymbals, and actually in one of those photos I saw I had a woodblock tied to my
thigh. You did, to your thigh. Yes,
yes.
you did. Yes. And I played at the time I played alto sax and drum on the back, clogs on the feet, dancing, clog dancing and singing. And penny whistle as well, I think.
Yeah.
Penny whistle.
Oh yeah, penny whistle, yeah.
I was wearing clogs as a normal part of dress. Because of being in Yorkshire, I thought,
I'll
enjoy wearing clogs. No, we wore clogs a bit, sort of, as normal shoes.
Yes.
Yeah,
we did.
Yeah. was definitely a musical reason.
Yes.
I think to start with. And
well, I suppose the drum and the cymbals were simply to make
have a
percussion bass, rhythmic bass.
To the colour, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just to really make it kind of colourful and dramatic.
That's
but also funny. I mean, it was funny.
That was an important part of it.
Knee cymbals.
Actually, but I don't think we knew it was going to be funny until we did it.
No, that's true. Actually, I don't think we did it.
Yeah, we didn't.
For
We
effect.
did. Yeah,
we did it because we want. But I think we enjoyed
it was
this.
just for
It was
the
quite. It was sort of no holds barred.
I think you always knew it was going to be funny.
Well, I took it very seriously. The theatrical element was very important, yeah, because also it helped us to communicate, to put something across, make something happen, something exciting happens, sort of thing. So we weren't really concerned to play extremely difficult music, particularly. We just wanted to create something where we play all together and just make a joyful noise.
Yeah, and in the moment, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think that was quite an important thing.
because it's the whole thing about just generally street music and the spontaneity of it, that people are just coming around the corner, they're just doing their shopping and they just come around the corner and suddenly they're taken into this world.
But also the spontaneity of not having to play at any particular time in any particular place. You just sort of, shall we play here kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Whereas when you think about organising a gig and the sort of none of that just melts away. You just turn up and say, we're going to play here, and I love that. Right.
And people are moving in and out of it all the time.
Yeah, they don't have to be there. They can be there if they want to, and then for how long as they want, and then move on. And
they can be in a hurry and just walk by and enjoy it as they go, or they can stop and spend a little time.
We'd do a set. We'd say, we'd look for a space that sort of gave us enough space to move around, and then we'd sort of move in it, basically. And then we'd do a couple of sets, and then we may move to another place within the same town. Certainly in York, we sort of moved around in London. Yeah, we would be looking for good places to do it where we would be free to do what we needed to do.
Well, you need a place where the audience can be comfortable, and there's a good acoustic. So you can have a big square, but people won't come up to you.
You look for good features, don't you? Like you want a bit of passing trade. You don't want to be too near a road. Yeah. People can sit down, and you don't feel you're going to be disturbing people. In fact, you might actually, if they're stall holders, that they'll sort of be quite pleased to see you because you'll brighten up their day. I mean, so you don't want to sort of. You want it to be a positive experience for as many people as possible. You can't assume that everybody wants you to be there. I mean, that's one of the big drags. The
shirt shop
that brings you down.
The man in the shirt shop in the petition against buskers.
I can't remember
in the shambles or something.
And there also needed to be space for us to move enough and feel free to move.
And be visible.
Yeah.
And not too many cobbles for the old clogs.
I think the one sort of thing, and it's not a small thing, is how welcome are we going to be here? You can't assume that everywhere you go, everybody's just going to be drop dead, delighted to see you.
That's right.
And I think that there is a tension constantly, and you have to sort of negotiate that. And when you start playing, you have to just sort of break through into that, and then if you get a good response from the crowd and you start relaxing, and then you forget about it. But I think always in that first sort of you negotiate, is this a hostile or a friendly environment? And that's the big sort of specific thing about playing on the street that is there every single time.
There was a woman who was in her 70s what's her name? Nellie.
Nellie. 70s or 80s, I think Nellie was, yeah.
And she became a regular, so most Saturdays she'd come along and she'd have her shopping in her hands.
Yeah. And she'd dance with her shopping.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
she was lovely.
And then she'd dance with Roz sometimes while she was singing, and I don't know, did we ever speak to her?
Well, I don't know. I've got that picture of me dancing with her. I guess I must have said hello.
Did she ever hang around at the end and talk to us? Or I think she just
came
for a couple of numbers and
then she'd go.
And one day, there were these guys on motorbikes, Hell's Angels, and they started dancing. They started in King Square. There were 4 of them, I think.
Yeah.
And they squared up to each other, these 4 guys. Yeah. And they started doing a kind of sort of head-banging dance to something we were playing. I don't know what, maybe it was the African numbers, I don't know, something we were playing. Yeah. Nellie turned up. She started weaving in amongst these guys. Right. One of the happiest moments of my life.
You'd never get that anywhere. Where would you get that?
No, you couldn't set that up.
No.
Thank you very much. You sound lovely.
That's a nice one.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'll dance. Put a tune on. Put a tune on. Put a tune on. Put a tune on. Sit down.
I don't know. It didn't seem really unusual to us. I mean, it seemed like really natural to play together. I don't think we thought, oh, there's no men in it, so it can't be any good. I'm sure we really thought, oh yeah, this is. We just gelled together as.
We were all musicians.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we were already kind of feeling that. I think we already individually felt we had something.
Yeah.
Actually, and that we could develop together.
But it wasn't an accident that we were all women.
It wasn't.
No.
It wouldn't have.
I think it would have been very different. I don't think it would have happened.
I don't think it would have happened.
I don't think it would have been as free. I don't think we would have been as free. A kind of something of the freedom of the movement and the responding together wouldn't have been.
That's right.
It wouldn't have been kind of safe enough in some way, or to.
Well, radical, yeah. I mean, there's something about the radical nature of that we didn't have to fit into any shapes that were already there.
Yes,
Each of us could make suggestions, whether they were verbalised or not. I mean, each of us could make things happen, and we would all pick up on each other's ideas. It wouldn't be a question of I better not say that. And it could be in other situations. It can be a little bit hierarchical,
and it was always for women, and from the moment we were together, we started relating to each other musically, but also physically.
Yeah.
And I think it's that physical element of actually feeling incredibly comfortable to sort of to be very close and move and look and sort of touch and just sort of feel very free with that.
Yeah.
And that was really a really important part of it. I think that's probably the most important thing about what we did was moving.
I think so.
If we just stood in a row and played the music we played, I just think it would have had about a fraction of and it was big, and we didn't. Maybe we said I don't know. Nothing felt like it was a conscious decision. It wasn't a conscious decision to move. It wasn't a conscious decision to make a political statement as such. But we just, I think those things happen.
Yes, it just felt like it.
Yes, they were right.
Because they
were right. They were possible.
And I think those things,
dancing.
As a group of women, I was saying that you don't know what can happen. That a lot of situations with groups of women doing professional things, you're on new territory, and we were on new territory, and it couldn't have been the same with a bloke. But we weren't thinking that. We weren't kind of an anti thing. We were just in it and doing it.
When we did go to places like when we went to Berlin or Amsterdam, then often, or Portobello Road, women would come up and say, "Oh, it's really good to see you." You know, we really made some good contacts with women.
Yeah,
who
we
would
did.
just come up and that thought, obviously felt, this is
got
great
a lot of free
to
drinks.
A few free drinks.
I mean, I think that's
offers of places to stay.
Yeah.
That's real. Yeah, it's great.
Place to stay. Yeah. Other gigs to get. From
of course, and once people saw
time.
that we were playing whether we were for women, when we got invited to play at women's events and things like that. So,
But do you remember going to Barcelona when we went on the beach and this bloke came up and said, "Is it just you here? Yeah. Is it just you? Is it just you for women? Yeah."
it made us be able to say, "Look, here we are, we're women." Loud and proud is what we used to say, isn't it? And his way of standing up and being counted,
being visible,
visible.
Yeah,
Other people,
was important.
yes, and other bands, we wrote songs explaining our position, or saying some point of view. So songs, the Manic song. We wrote songs in other bands about what we were like, how it was to be women, and about issues as well. But obviously we didn't do that in the York Street Band. No. But I think I just found the Spare Rib Women in Music issue of the diary from 1985, actually, 1885 or
Exhibit number A.
Yes, and it's got a list of women musicians in the back there, and we're in it, and many other bands that we know are there, and it was a big part of the women's movement, really, that there were bands and there were musicians standing up and doing stuff. I mean, sometimes we went on the marches because we wanted to go on the marches, so we would play anyway. But other times we were asked to go on the marches, weren't we? So, or to animate them, really, make a sound, make a loud noise, because that's what you want in a march. You want a good big noise.
What was the nuclear power plant in
Torness.
Torness, that's right.
There was a sit-in in Torness.
And it was then when they were going to be building it, and so there were all these huge big pipes just on the kind of muddy earth, wasn't there? And so people went there to kind of...
and we just played walking around, didn't we?
Just played,
and
in the pipes we played.
So there was just a bunch of women.
Yeah.
It was all women.
Yeah.
And we were in packs, weren't we? Of six, not packs. We didn't six packs. 6 packs. We were in 6 packs. We had to before we went. We went up on the coach. It was the night Maggie Thatcher got into power, 1971. We heard in the coach. We just heard that she got into power.
I was on this
and we had to be in groups with somebody who got a lawyer's number and that stuff. And we went in to a few of these, so it was from different towns. Group of 6 women from Leeds, group of 6 women from York, group of 6 women. Marion was there, wasn't she? And we all went in and slept in these pipes. We had to go and get all the straw from a field and fill it up. But I think we entertained them, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah.
We went to Berlin, Ros and I.
Oh yeah.
And played around cafes.
Yes, so we did.
And
in the winter.
We went and got very inspired by the sort of street music in Munich and much more sort of theatrical, much more in your face, much more sort of just a different tradition completely.
In Florence, we played with these contortionists. Yeah, and it was just like the kind of idea of things going on in the street that you can just do what you want. You can be who you are, whatever. And we just hooked up with these two guys doing contortionists, and we played while they did it, and then moved on. And very, I mean, I think we're all still very excited about that, about street music.
That aspect of it, yeah, the spontaneity particularly.
Busking in this country was more still quite associated with being impoverished and sort of, you know, it was all a bit sort of, you didn't really draw too much attention. You could just sort of play quietly in the corner somewhere. But these people were really pushing themselves on through that sort of barrier, and I think I really like that.
The time when we were in Frankfurt and we were playing, and it happened to be the day that Astrid Proll came out of solitary confinement, when she'd been extradited back to Germany, having been in England for quite a while.
And we arrived in Frankfurt at 9 in the morning of the trial deliberately.
That's right. We did it specially. Yeah.
And then we were scared to go.
And then we put a little notice up by us while we were playing that said, "Good luck, Astrid." And then we noticed this man watching us play, who then came up afterwards and said, "I'm Astrid Proll's English lawyer, and there's a party for her tonight at Pluto Press in Frankfurt, but there's no music. Will you come and play?" And we were due to be getting the night 2:00 train to Amsterdam. Do you remember? But we thought, well, we could fit that in.
What, 2 in the morning?
2 in the morning.
Ah.
Yeah. And so we went to this place, which there was quite a lot of security to get in, and played. And as Astrid Proll just come out of solitary confinement, where she'd been for about a year. Completely manic she was, actually. And so that was just an incredible experience, really, wasn't it? Quite surreal. That just happened because we didn't quite happen to be there. We put ourselves there on the street. And then a couple of years later, or a year later, you and I were in Berlin.
We were in Berlin, yeah.
In Berlin, and we were playing around some of the cafes. We went to the Café Einstein, and we thought that's really good to get a gig there, because it was quite... You had to audition to get it.
Oh.
You did, do you remember that?
I don't remember it, no.
And we were playing, and this man came up afterwards and said, "Hello, do you remember me? I'm Astrid Proll's German lawyer." And you believe these people? I saw you at that party in Frankfurt.
Oh my God!
And he was saying how, so we were asking how she was, and
oh God,
just extraordinary kind of set of coincidences.
Gosh, I'd forgotten that. Launched. It's gave me the confidence to believe that I could live as a musician, and that playing. It gave me a real enjoyment of playing, and it showed me that I could play many different instruments.
Same here. It was my way of finding my way back to music, which I had really kind of lost from having trained as a classical musician. And then it gave me some confidence to get back into. And I mean, unlike all the rest of you, I didn't go on to play in any bands or anything.
No, but you.
I went into writing music for theatre and then radio plays and that. And I think it really. I don't think without the street band, I wouldn't have had that freedom. I think I wouldn't have found my way into that.
And through that, through meeting you and this stuff, and about 6 months later, I was just so delighted. I remember thinking I'd be happy to end my life. It was just like, it was just, yeah.
Yes.
I'd kind of found myself, I suppose, and I've carried on finding myself.
I think that what I got from street band was like a sort of sense of adventure out of music, that it was a very creative thing, and basically when I left university I didn't know what I wanted to do, and then I just decided that I would let music sort of be the guide. And because I got a flute and I just saw a sort of divining rod that, it was sort of like this thing that somehow sort of map out my existence, and I'm sure that the impetus for that came from sort of the confidence and trust in myself as a creative person or a creative musician that would somehow see me right. I think the legacy is that we can kind of do something again,
Exactly,
which has almost got more power to it, because we were part of a movement. We were part. Lots of people were doing this kind of thing, but I can guarantee you that there's not a movement of people of our age doing this kind of stuff anywhere, really.
No.
Actually, so it sort of feels almost more radical and possibly more important.
And I think we did say to each other, we'll meet. Let's meet up when we're 60.
Oh,
Do you remember that?
I
We
don't
did
remember
say
that.
But I didn't think we ever really quite thought we'd be meeting up like this and getting our instruments out again.